then folks, I'm Alan Norris from FishON TV, and today he's joining me at skimmer, joining me at Barnburgh Fisheries at Barnburgh. And today all I'm going to be fishing with is maggots, and this is the first skimmer I've had actually. We've been here an hour or so. There's Bob and Jack here and Andy, and we've all been catching. Bob's been catching one or two slightly better fish. I've had about 10 fish altogether now, and let me just wipe my hands. Right, so the only bait I've got on my tray today, there's nothing on there. I've got some spare hooks down here, which is we're all made up in here in case I get broke. A couple of pints of maggots, nail clippers, making sure everything's all nipped off nice and neat. So before I actually ship back out there, let's have a look what my plan is. And it's taken a bit of getting going, to be honest. I mean, Bob was straight into them, but it's taken a little bit of getting going over here. Oh, my catapult. I've got a catapult because I'm hoping that I'll be able to start catapulting them out. But I'll talk to you about that in a minute. So what I actually started on was what I class as the positive rig. It's about 4 foot deep out there. I've got about 3/4 of the way across. It just as it starts to shallow up again, I'm at the bottom of that. So it's about 3/4. It's 11 metres. And basically, I've got for the positive rig. I've got a 4x14s F1 pellet. I've blacked it out a little bit because I'm in the light bit of the lake, and that's on 016 main line. I've got a bulk shot there, and I've got a couple of droppers down to an 011 18 F1 pellet. So that's for the positive line. And I've been fishing on the what I class as the negative line for the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes, and that's been working. It's been working okay, but it still just doesn't seem quite right at the minute for some reason. They're just not quite having it properly. Oh yeah, on the previous one I've got back shots on both. So this one's a 4x12s Chianti, Preston Chianti, and I've got spread out shot there. So this is basically, it's slow sinking. So when you lay your shot out, your rig out, it falls really slow. You float a bit at an angle like that, and hopefully what we're after is when it's on an angle settling, we're wanting to see 1 or 2 of those. So, which is an indication that you can shallow up. I've not set a shallow rig up, but I can still shallow this up a little bit if I wanted to do, and be off the bottom. So I've got sort of, I keep changing where I want. I either have 5 number 10s, or I've got 4 number 9s and 2 number 12s on this, and it's dotted right down. You can barely see it, and again I've blacked it out, as you can see there, and I've dotted it right down, and all I'm looking for is the ring, because it's that calm today. I just look for a ring where my float is. That's the bite, because they're not. If it was stuck up an inch, you'd miss them because you just see your float sort of moving a little bit. Dotting it right down like that, see the little rip around the float, then that's your indication, and that has been working so far. I've just put a slightly longer cab pot on because now and again, me being clumsy, keep knocking 1 or 2 maggots out. As you can see, it's quite a long one. It's the matrix one, and I just put maybe 5 or 6 maggots in at a time. I've not upped the feed at the minute. Again on this, it's 016 mainline, 011 bottom, F1 pellet, size 18 hook. So it's dead simple. I'm hoping that at some stage today I can start catapulting. I keep varying from single maggot to red maggot to white maggot. It's not really making any difference what it is. It's not on fire at the minute, but let's put it that way. I think I've had 10 fish. So this time of year, I mean, we say we're just looking for bites because it has been really, really cold for the last sort of 4 or 5 days. And I mean, last week it was up to 17 degrees, and this morning we turned up here this morning and it was 2 degrees. Nights before we've had frost, so it's not ideal weather for the fish. A little bit inconsistent weather makes things a little bit more difficult, in my experience. Could be talking all rubbish as normal. I'll just show you what I'm doing. Right. But I do know that fluctuations in weather doesn't help the fishing, and we've got an easterly breeze. There's hardly anything today, but wherever it is, it's easterly. So I'm laying the rig across. I'll do that again, look. So I'm laying the rig across there. I'm actually tapping the maggots in from a little bit higher, just to make a bit of noise. So there's about 6 or 7 maggots there. Just hold it. The float's on an angle at the minute, and I've not seen it. I've not had any bites yet as it's been settling. So that has just about settled. I can just make out the float, the tip of the float. I'm just looking for the ring, a ring that appears around where the tip of the float is, and that is the bite. It's so delicate. Last 3 or 4 puttings I've been getting a bite straight away within sort of 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Missed him. You're not going to be able to see it. I know some people keep asking for, can you zoom in on the float, but I'm by myself. It's pretty impossible to start doing that. I would need somebody here. So we'll try that again. It's just settling nicely. I am thinking, because I mean the bites that I have been getting, my theory behind this rig at the minute is that the fish see it falling through the water really slowly, and then about anything up to 2 minutes I have been getting an indication. There we go. Oh, bumped him. Now I am thinking of trying the positive rig, because I am getting the bites once the rig's settled. So I'm thinking, do I want the bait down there quicker? Will I still get a bite? Will I get bites quicker? I mean, that didn't take very long at all. So it's a decision I have to decide to make, whether it's I am getting the indications because they're following the bait down, or rather down there, you know, we just don't know. So the reason I've stuck with this is because I like to think that they're following the bait down, and then we're getting a bite, which I'm not now. So I might have to check. I might have to recheck that maggot. But what I can do, I can try the positive rig. I probably won't. There we go. That's a tiddler. Oh, he's bumped off. So that if I was in a match, the positive rig, I'd like to think that I had got them feeding on the bottom, and the rig's getting down there quicker and getting the bites quicker. And they're definitely not intercepting this bait on its way down. They're definitely having it on the bottom, so I think I might want to change and get that rig straight down there and just see if it does, see if I do get bites quicker. And Andy's just had a little skimmer at the side of it. Missed that one. I think there are a few skimmers knocking about. So I've had a roach, a couple of tiny F1's. But before I was getting like 2-3 pound F1's, which are great to catch. Andy's had a 5 or 6 pound carp on Maggot, and so has Bob. I think we might have to recheck that maggot. Well, I also noticed earlier that if I didn't have maggots going through the swim, like now for example, whether that maggot's destroyed or not, we're not quite sure. I'll have another look. I'll have a look at the maggot. If I'm not feeding, I tend not to get a bite. So, but with the weather being as cold as what it's been, how much do you actually feed? It's not destroyed, I mean, it's not wriggling anymore, but we'll try another one. I'll go on to a white maggot. Oops, a daisy. We'll just see. You know, I don't want to start piling loads of maggots in. Not at the minute. It's quite early on in this session, so we've got about 8 maggots in there. one thing I do know with the positive rig, once it's down there, with it being a bulk shot, the bites are a little bit more positive than this rig. This rig, they seem very, very delicate. Tip the maggots in now. Just hold that back, that's just settling nicely. It's only about 4 foot deep here, so it's not taking that long to get down now. That's just settled. Let's see if I'm just talking a lot of rubbish. I normally get a bite within about 30 seconds once it's been in. Not sure if that were a bite or not. I didn't see a ripple. And if I've not had a bite after about a minute, I will relay the rig. So, I like to think that the fish are watching the bait go down. But it's typical, isn't it? I've been getting a fish, last 3 or 4 goes, fish every point. I noticed that Jack and Bob slowed down though, and it has gone a little bit slower. I'll relay that rig. Not the biggest fish, but it's a fish. It has been quiet. I haven't seen anybody catching anything. What I did, when I mentioned on the more positive rig, I'd probably sit on that a little bit long. So there you go, that's a little stocky. What I decided to do, they weren't taking it on the negative rig. It just seemed to dry up, and it seemed to have dried up pretty much with, I didn't see anybody catch anything for a while. So I thought, right, I have got a little bit of ground bait mixed up, which I was planning on. Once I've done this video, I was going to have a little go on the method feeder later. But I just thought I'd put a little bit of F1's sweet and a bit of Thatcher's, and I put a tiny amount in. And then I thought, right, I'm going to sit and wait a little bit longer. And then a lift bite. Come straight out, and then that was the result. I don't think it's anything that I'm doing, whether it's right or wrong. It just seems to have gone a little bit hard around the lake. And Bob's just had one. In fact, I've just seen another guy catch one down there. I'm talking a load of rubbish, aren't I? I'm not going to put any ground bait in this time. And I'll have another go with just maggots. It's like I say, at this time of year, so that's a dozen fish I think I've had now. This time of year, you've just got to be so careful with feed. I mean, last week, you'll have seen people going on about how many they caught. Last week was unbelievable. The carp started showing. Everybody was catching. We fished at Woodhouse Grange. I didn't take the cameras that day, and at 68 F1's. Typical, I didn't take cameras, and I had a day like that. It was an incredible day. So even though I laid that rig out to the side, that's just to keep the rig nice and tight. I'm putting 5 or 6 maggots there now, and I'm just sitting on it. But yeah, last week at Woodhouse Grange, it was an incredible day. We couldn't believe it was an awful day. That's another reason I didn't want to film it. It was an awful day. It was blowing an absolute hoolie. Myself and Bob and Jack, we just, and Andy, we absolutely emptied it. It was ridiculous. We couldn't stop catching. But today, that's just moved out of like the line. Is that? It was ridiculous at Woodhouse Grange. 60 odd F1's, we just couldn't believe what were going off. They were taking anything. Didn't matter what you put on, they had it. Whereas today, it's proper winter fishing today. You are literally looking for bites, even though we did set off okay. I thought it was going to be tough anyway. I was surprised how many we caught early on. But to catch a dozen fish, that's okay. Ooh, typical F1 bite, that tiny little tap. Yeah, it's just a case of being patient. I've had two tiny little nuggets of ground bait out there just to see if it can draw a few fish in. And it's low feed ground bait, that. The F1's sweet. With a little bit of Thatcher's in. Thatcher's dark it is. So I gave it another 10 minutes as after I spoke to you with the laying the rig out, the slow falling rig, and it just wasn't happening. So I thought, right, I'm just going to sit on this positive rig, because the bites are usually a little bit better with this. So rather than sit with the light rig, I'd rather have a more positive bite off this, which is still tiny anyway. Where I found once I start getting them at bottom, I tend to hook more on this rig. Oh, maybe I should have lifted there. There's a slight indication there. That could have been a... Yeah, there we go. Ever so delicate, that. Me saying there's more positive bites with this rig. Just talking rubbish again, aren't I? Absolute rubbish. Let's see if it pops up like a typical F1. No, is it? Oh, God, I'm talking some rubbish today, aren't I? Is it going to pop up? Yeah. Putting a bit of a mighty fight up today. Crikey, he's only a tiddler as well. He's popped up now. There we go. So there's quite a lot of these coming out, but we have had some belting F1s, you know, sort of 2 or 3 pound. Honestly. So I will keep trying the other rig as well. I can't believe it must have been sat on that because the bite was so delicate. And that was down, it's not often, normally get a bit top lip, but it was a tiny bite. You know when I mentioned the indication, maybe I should have lifted? I think it was just sat there chewing that. So that's what I'm doing at the minute. I'm sitting on the more positive rig rather than keep laying the negative rig out. It's I just had no indications whatsoever for a good 10 or 15 minutes. So then I've gone onto this rig, sat on it. I've had 2 fishing, 2 puttings. So let's see how the swim develops. Well, little skimmers. I thought there were 1 or 2 of them knocking about out there. And that was best bite at day. It dragged it under. But if we're catching these, little baby skimmer. Oh, there we go. Catching these, there can't be many F1s knocking about. And there's millions in here as well. We're getting a few more F1s. Like I say, this weather. Up and down, 17 degrees one day and then a few days later it's 0. I don't think it's helping things at all, is it? At all. So I'm still on the positive rig. I keep getting 1 or 2 little indications. I'm going to start catapulting. I'll put some maggots in this time. 1 or 2, well, for 1 or 2, half a dozen at a time. And just see if that'll start drawing a few fish in as well. I mean, can't complain really. How many fish have I had? Lost count. I've had 13 or 14 fish. I would say there's probably been 3 or 4 skimmers, and the rest have been F1s, so can't really complain about that. Not this time of year, especially like it. I mean, it was 1 degree last night according to my phone. and it was 2 degrees when we got here this morning. I don't think it's going to get above sort of 6 or 7 today. I'll take the bite then, I think it will be back shot. Yeah, I don't think it's going to get above sort of 6 or 7, so it's not. I don't feel cold, I've got plenty of clothes on. There we go, oh, that was a nice fish. Let's check the maggot. That was a nice fish. So I have catapulted 2 lots of maggots out there already. Now let's just see, was that beginner's luck or what? Well, that was a better fish, that felt solid. No, it wasn't the bottom, there's no snags out there. Just before you say it. Five or 6 maggots. I've definitely felt like a nice fish. Positive bite as well, straight under, no messing. The only trouble with F1s, you can tend to, don't get me wrong, we catch plenty, but how many F1s do you lose when you're F1 fishing? It's ridiculous, isn't it? Especially when you're shallow fishing. Well, typical, I thought it might have gone under again for the cameras. Sat lovely. Nice and still. It just needs to go under. Oh, just about to catapult out last time and it went under. I know it's not as accurate, isn't the catapulting, but that's the reason I find it tends to draw 1 or 2 fish in rather than just potting in all the time. Oh yeah, Bob did mention these trees. It wasn't my line that was caught, it was that line it caught. I've got a tree just out overhang. It's the first time I've touched it, and that's okay. So let's get back in. Let's see if we can get a few more. Absolutely typical, isn't it? I turn camera out and it goes under within about 10 seconds. Can't write it, can you? They never seem to have these problems on all these professional videos of the Preston and the Maver. Oh, it's a skimmer. Nice one. Well, we're catching all sorts of fish. Oh, with little skimmers, we don't mind catching those. Where's the F1s? There's some mighty F1s in here, there's millions of them. We're nearly going to leave that on. I always keep that Jamie Hughes, change it every time. Even Andy May says that. Even Andy May. Right, let's see. We'll have another go. We'll see if it'll do it. This time I ship out 5 or 6 maggots. Come on, Alan, show them what a mighty fisherman you are. I'm still on the positive rig and basically sitting on it a little bit longer than I would with the negative rig, which I keep dropping through the swim. A few maggitos. Shame you can't see it float, but gonna do. Ooh. Tiny little bite, that tiny. Right, this time. Just settle nicely. Just needs to go under now. No. It's not going to do it, is it, ladies and gentlemen? It's not going to go. You can't write it, can you? Oh my God, that's moved a little bit, has that? Give it another go. Well, typical. Get back to you soon. I've just changed to the slow sinking rig. Oh crikey, way that setup, I thought it was an F1. I think it's been drinking Guinness, this little skimmer. Well, not bad little skimmer, don't mind those. Yeah, that was went for a right scrap up. I thought it was an F1 that, so after finding a few lots of maggots out with the catapults, I thought I'd give the slow sinking rig a go. It didn't go under straight away. I would say it was about 30 seconds after it had settled, it went. Skimmers round. We're another one, that same size as well. So, and I've only put those two little bits in. Well, slowly all around the lake. I've seen most people catching silvers. There's been very many F1's showing it out. The only thing I can seem to get at the minute is these skimmers. The guy near the bridge over there, he's been getting one or two F1's. He's been catching it pretty consistent all day. I bumped an F1 off. I didn't foul up, so there's a scale on there. But I've had a couple of roach. And I had the first fish take it on the drop. Skimmers still keep coming. Well, this one took it on the drop. There's one or two just started. I missed one earlier on the drop as well. This is with catapulting 5 or 6 maggots on every lane, and I am starting to get 1 or 2 more bites now. Oh, this is an F1. F1. Go. Little F1, that's the first F1 in a while. And all I'm doing, just change the way I'm feeding. Rather than, there we go, little stocking. Rather than putting the maggots in, I've just started to fire 5 or 6 on every single lane that I do. Let's change them for the absolutely telling me off. And I've just started to get bites reasonably quick, so let's see. Let's try it again, see if it works. I've been a little bit frightened of putting too much in, but so far it seems to have been working. let's just see if it works this time. So I'm up to like, is it 21 fish I think I've had now. It's just settled. Oh, an indication there. So I'll do that again. Four maggots that time. I say I'm a little bit frightened of overfeeding, so I've just been very delicate with the feed. Bob's just said he's getting 1 or 2 bites now, and I've noticed Andy's getting 1 or 2. Well, you can't write it, can you? Every time I put this camera on, it doesn't do what it's supposed to say on the tin. Lay the rig again. I've not had one take on the way down at all today. It's always been when it's settled. That was a roachy type bite. That was we said that F1's can be like that, but I've not been missing the F1 bites. I don't think I have anyway. Could be talking a load of rubbish again. Back there, keeping a tight line. That should be falling through nicely. Hopefully a fish will be eyeing me bait up. Just settled nicely. It just needs to go under. And no. End of March. End of March. Right. It's obviously not going to go under while the camera's on. I have an indication there. Let's get back in, see if we can get a few. Well, I promised you an F1. I've just gone down margin there to put some bait down. First put in. Oh. He's trying to get out. First put in. Bob were watching, he says, come on, get me a fish. And then he appeared. Nice little F1 for you. So we had a few of those early doors this morning. Right, I have to show you that one, didn't I? I've had a couple on feeder as well. Right, the elusive F1's in this area. Andy's just had one right up against the island on pellet. I've had a couple more skimmers. I've just bumped out of an F1, but we're getting towards the end of the session. But maggot day, I would have, if I was fishing a match, I would definitely have been on. I'd have had some soft pellets and micros, but it's just been a maggot day today. Fishing through the water with the spread out shot on one rig and the bulk and a couple of small droppers on the other. The slow falling rig seems to have been the best here today, but albeit there's been quite a lot of silvers involved. Got about 25, 26 fish. So we can't really complain. I think it's been a tough day, but 25 or 26 fish, I'm more than happy, because I was fearing the worst. I wasn't really expecting it to be on fire. My suspicions were right, because you know there's a few guys here that's fished here last week said it's not fishing anything like it was last week. So my suspicions were right, but I'm pretty happy with, you know, a few hours fishing, 25, 26 fish, skimmers and F1's. So it's just, I mean, I certainly wouldn't have just fished in one area for fishing a match. I would have been trying other areas. But I hope you've enjoyed a Maggot day at Barnburgh Fisheries. On, again, a fairly difficult day. I mean, we've been getting plenty of bites. They are tiny little bites, but the standard of catching here at Barnburgh is unbelievable when it's on fire. So it's been a very, very, very average day for Barnburgh. You know, I've come down here and I've, crikey, what we weigh, 190, 200 pounds, I can't remember what it was in a 5-hour match. So they're the kind of days that you can have here. That seems to have been a consistent peg. He's been catching quite a few over there against the bridge. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been an experience using the pole only today, so I'm going to have a little go on the feeder now, just for an hour, just to finish my session off. But I hope you've enjoyed today's video on a Maggot session at Barnburgh. On the top lake it is, by the way. I don't know what peg number it is because I can't see the peg number. So, like I say, I don't know if it's a very good peg or not, or a good area, should I say. So if you do like my videos, don't forget, it's absolutely free to subscribe, and if you click the notification bell, you will get all our videos as we upload them, and a thumbs up would be very, very nice indeed. So until next time, we don't know where we're going next. Until next time, next week, I shall see you on the bank there, wherever it may be. And don't forget, fish on, guys, and we'll see you pretty soon.